Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Super Metroid weekly rotation race. This week, we are going to be doing a GT Classic run, and we have four runners in the stream. Unfortunately, one of them, Insane Firebat, is not actually streaming, so he won't be on the restream. But as for the three runners on stream, we have in the top left, Canadian Owl, in the top right, Southern Kip, otherwise known as Kip, and in the bottom left we have Toasty Muffins. So I'm pretty sure our two leftmost runners may or may not be doing a somewhat different route than you would normally see in a GT Classic race. So we will see what they decide to do, but I'm fairly confident that Kip is going to be running a more normal GT Classic run, so if that's what you're here for, we've got that. Don't worry. Anyways, for those of you who don't know what GT Classic is, as our race gets started, it's a category that utilizes the GT code, otherwise known as the Gold Chorizo code. And how you execute that is you enter Gold Chorizo's room in Lower Norfair, holding all of the face buttons on the controller, so A, B, X, Y, and it gives you 53% of the items, including every major item except Screw Attack, and plenty of ammo and energy to finish the game. So what you would ideally do is go down to Lower Norfair with as little items as possible, execute the code, and then just basically stomp through the rest of the game, since you have every item you would ever need, including items that you would normally not have in a run. So, looks like all the runners are basically making the same time. We'll see who wins the series race. As Kip looks like he's got a high 40 or a mid 45, whereas Owl got a mid 44. Firebat, who's not streaming, as I explained before, also got a 45, and Toasty, unfortunately, had a little bit of trouble there. But, nothing too big. So, of course, for anybody who has seen a Super Metroid run before, the first few minutes are going to be pretty much the same as any normal run. It's going to follow the same basic route as old route any percent up to Kraid, except for you won't see the runners, or you might see the runners, pick up Charge Beam and the first missile. Because you don't technically need them to kill Kraid, and picking them up just loses time, since you get Charge Beam and plenty of missiles when you do the GT code. You see Kip actually doing Moonfall. I remember him being a strong advocate for not using Moonfall. Canadian and Toasty doing the same. Or doing the Moonfall, not being against it, I should say. But still not too much interesting happening yet. All the runners within a few seconds of each other. Just gonna pick up the basic items you need, so the morphing ball, the first missile, and then going back up to Brinstar to pick up bombs. But yeah, until I guess technically in Green Pirate Shaft we will see something a little bit different, but until then, nothing too interesting happening. We will see Kip pulling a little bit ahead of the other two, just because he is a much more experienced runner. Canadian Owl and Toasty are both relatively new to the community, and technically so is Kip. He's only been around for 2 or 3 years, I think, but he's definitely played the game a lot more than the other two. So we will see that in his execution. We also will see some different climbs from the runners, I believe. We see Kip going with the ledge grab climb, which is technically a few frames faster if executed completely properly. But unfortunately, missed a jump at the end. We see Canadian Owl going for the left side wall climb. Generally, for runners doing the wall climb strat up that room, you would see them go up the right because it's faster since you come out of a right-facing door. But Canadian Owl is a pretty dank memer, so we'll see some goofy strats from him. And we also saw Toasty doing the ledge grabs, I believe. And unfortunately, Canadian took some damage from... I don't think it was from the bugs, but took some damage from some other enemies, so he had to farm the bugs for health. So if you aren't full health entering this Bomb Chorizo fight, the little eggs that he shoots will drop health drops occasionally instead of missile drops. And ideally, to finish him off like Kip did, you would want him to drop all missiles so you could pick some up, shoot them, and then pick the rest up and shoot him again. You want to hit him with 7 missiles, and you can only carry 5 at this point. So ideally, well, 7 missiles and 5 normal shots, I should say. So you hit him with the 5 normal shots and pick up missiles, and then hit him with the 7 missiles. Unfortunately, I think Toasty and Canadian both mistimed their shots, and both had Bomb Chorizo remove his head, which is what happens when he has under 100 health. So there's some better explanations for how that fight works than what I just gave, but TLDR, you want to enter the room at full health. We also see Owl skipping the first E-Tank. Interesting strat. But what you see the runners do in the Green Pirates room, which I mentioned earlier but kind of skipped over it because I was busy giving a bad explanation for Bomb Chorizo, is you see them missiling the pirates in Green Pirate Shaft instead of just running through them. That is because you don't want to lose too much health, since you in this route you would go up immediately after Red Tower to get power bombs, and that can cause you to take a lot of damage because there's a lot of damage boosts you need to do, so you don't want to take any extra damage. As well, Canadian didn't even get the energy tank, so assuming he goes up as well, he definitely needs the extra health. We see Kip picking up the missile there, actually. That might just be muscle memory, since every other category, besides I guess 100%, picks up that missile. Actually, low percent doesn't either, and Kip is a very good low percent runner, so maybe he's just picking up safeties. But either way, the optimal strategy in this run is not picking up either of those items, since, as I said before, you get Charge Beam and plenty of missiles once you do the GT code, and you don't need them to kill Kraid. So, because Toasty, I believe, skipped both the items, we actually see him caught up to Kip here, as they both go up Red Tower. Unfortunately, Toasty messed up the rippers, and so he had to just wall jump up and shoot the block. Whereas Kip, it looked like he missed the wall jump, so he had to jump back up. So neither having a perfect red tower climb, but not losing too much time. We see Canadian Owl going down. I'm not totally sure where he's going, but he's having a grand old time. As we see Toasty and Kip picking up their power bombs. You would need power bombs in GT Classic because you need to get to Lower Norfair, and the only entrance to Lower Norfair that you can get to without glitching the game through some X-ray shenanigans is a power bomb door. So this is the fastest power bombs to get, as the other option would be to fight Crocomire. I think that would be the other fastest power bombs, and nobody wants to do that except maybe Toasty. We also saw Canadian Owl picking up the Spazer Beam, so I did see him practicing a 1 E-Tank charge Spazer Fantoon fight before this run, so I assume that's what he's doing, as goofy as it sounds. I'm not totally sure why, but it's Owl. Who knows why he does what he does? Even supering the green space pirates there instead of just using missiles, just for the memes. It looks like he's ahead of the other runners, but that's because he didn't go up to get power bombs. So he will need to do that whenever he decides to do the GT code. I assume he's doing that, considering he's running GT Classic. Of course, I mean, he can decide not to, I guess. There's nothing I can do to stop him, but he'd be willingly slowing himself down there, so we'll see what he does. As I believe Toasty and Kip and Owl all got the quick kill. So they're all getting various suit within about 30 seconds of each other. You'll notice that Canadian Owl isn't using a timer, and Kip seems to have reset his timer, so it's all on Toasty now. He's the one keeping time. So if he messes up his timer, we're doomed. Anyways, I'm not totally sure what all Canadian gets in this route. You said he's doing 135%, but I don't know why he would be getting Spazer. I don't know what purpose that would serve in a 135% run. So for those of you who don't know, 135% is basically the 100% category of GT Classic. So you pick up as few items as you possibly can before entering GT, and then pick up every item after GT. And if you do it right, you end up with 135% item completion. And it looks like that's what Owl's doing. I saw he's been, I wouldn't say grinding the category, but he's been running it a little bit recently, so yes, he is gonna meme on us a little bit. So for those of you wanting to learn about that category, You might want to keep a close eye on the top left here. Meanwhile, Toasty and Kip are both doing a proper race and heading down to Lower Norfair here. We'll see if Kip decides to take any safety farms or safety saves going into Lower Norfair. There's two difficult tricks back to back in GT Classic, the Lava Dive and the Green Gate Glitch. And we see Toasty taking the save in Bubble Mountain before either of the tricks. And Kip farms for full super missiles, so if he messes up the Green Gate Glitch, he still has a few more tries at it. And so the Lava Dive, which Kip is doing here, there's nothing too technical about it. It's just very dangerous, especially with low health, because of course the lava continuously drains your health, and the Namahes there that shoot fireballs do, I believe, 100 damage with just various suits. So if you get hit by one, you're basically dead. We see Kip having 99 health. Had he been hit, he would have just died. So luckily that didn't happen. You see him taking a save before Green Gate Glitch. It's actually not too hard of a trick, but you can mess it up if you're not careful, so Kip wants to take the extra safety. Also, technically, you don't need high jump in this category. So we see Toasty, unfortunately, messing up the wall jumps in Lava Dive. But the optimal, I use optimal in quotations because there's very few people that actually do it. The optimal route for GT Classic is to go for a high jumpless Lava Dive, which I don't think any of the runners are doing, so I won't explain it, but it's a very difficult trick. So we see Kip going into the GT room, and now suddenly he has every item in the game, besides Screw Attack. We also saw on his stream a little bit earlier the Green Gate Glitch. So you saw him approach the gate from the wrong way and still open it. So how that works is by positioning yourself just before the gate and then moving forward as you shoot the super missile, the super missile will actually go fast enough to clip through the gate and hit the button on the other side. So what he tried to do with the power bomb there, you saw him lay a power bomb, was slow down the game to make the inputs a lot farther apart so that it's a little bit easier to do. As unfortunately, Toasty having a little bit of trouble on this Lava Dive. I don't think he has enough health. Yeah, no. But that's a very basic explanation of how the Green Gate Glitch works. And now Kip got all his items and beat GT, so now he's just going to be running through the rest of the game. So Ridley, Dragon, and Fantoon with more items than you would normally have. So basically he's just going to cruise through the game. You will also notice that despite the icons only showing him having missiles, super missiles, and power bombs, he also has the grappling beam and X-ray scope. So he has to be careful and remember that he has those items, even though they don't show up on the UI. So while that might just seem like an annoyance, you will actually see some pretty cool X-ray tricks later in the run. I'll point those out when we get to them. As a Canadian Owl picked up Speed Booster. Now he is guess he did it to cross the moat. And now he's on to Fantoon with 69 energy and just various suit and Spazer. Toasty looks like he got the lava dive this time. That last wall jump is actually pretty tricky. But luckily he got it, and he's going to take the other safety save before the elevator as well. Can't really blame him there. Green Gate glitch is pretty tough. We saw Kip using all of his supers and getting it on the last try, so you can see it's definitely not a easy trick. Speaking of Kip, he's on his Ridley fight. Of course, he has a fully upgraded beam, so Ridley will take 20 charge shots, excuse me. More accurately, charge ice wave plasma shots. So this is just a normal any percent old route Ridley fight, or 100%, whichever one you're more comfortable with. They both have pretty much the same Ridley fights. And of course, Kip runs low percent, so he is definitely comfortable with Ridley. Yeah, you see there on Toasty's stream, he has the X-ray, as he was just X-raying the GT. Golden Tracer there. Looks like he murder beamed the Gold Chorizo. That's a little bit goofy. So, what the murder beam is, it's I don't know 100%, but it's what happens when you use all 5 beams at once. So it creates a infinitely lasting source of damage to the area that you put it on, or more specifically the enemy you put it on, in Toasty's case. So you saw him just taking damage continuously throughout the fight. Technically, it is allowed. It is not a major glitch, but in any percent run, you would only really use it on Ridley and Mother Brain, and it lags the game a lot. So it's much slower for real time. So that's why you don't see any runners ever doing that. As a Canadian Owl, I haven't really been talking about it, but he has had a pretty decent Phantoon fight, actually finishing it off. He got pretty low a couple times there, but he got plenty of health drops. As I believe he's going to be getting Gravity Suit to do a gravity jump through the lava dive room instead of doing a traditional lava dive. So we will see that on his stream shortly. I don't know why he needed Spacer, though. He might have been just getting that for the memes. If somebody knows 135% and can fill me in, please feel free to do so in chat. As we see Toasty heading to Ridley, as Kip is heading out of Norfair and into Meridia, where he is going to be fighting Dragon and Botwoon. So if you noticed on Toasty Muffin's stream, he's using the X-ray scope to actually damage the enemies there multiple times with Plasma Beam. He can do that because, of course, Plasma Beam pierces through enemies, so it will stay on the screen, and the X-ray scope will actually reset an enemy's iframes. So you will see more of that coming up here on Kip's stream, since that is actually how he will be taking out Botwoon, Dragon, and Phantoon. So all 3 of those fights are very easy compared to their any percent counterparts. And you see right there, I believe you need to hit Botwoon 5 times with this beam combination, which with X-Ray just means using and canceling X-Ray 5 times. So it's a very easy fight. One thing to note is that will not work on Ridley and Mother Brain, because both of those bosses have well, plasma doesn't pierce through them. And if you use it on Kraid, it crashes the game, I'm pretty sure. So don't do it. Something about health underflow. I'm the wrong person to ask for technical aspect of the game. Sorry. Anyways. We see Kip. He's going to be killing Dragon the same way he just killed Botwoon with the Plasma X-Ray. Gonna get some microwave shrimp, as we like to call it. And yeah, it's easy as that. And he's gonna be heading up to Fantoon. We have seen a certain runner forget about Fantoon in this category, so hopefully Kip doesn't forget that. But we will see. As Canadian Owl got his gravity suit, and he is going to be heading back down to Lower Norfair to do the GT code. And then the item collection will begin. So yeah, that's the fun part of this category. A lot of people compare it to 100%, but without all of the item collecting, since you get basically all the items at once. So, but unlike 100%, you get to use some of the later items in the game on some of the earlier bosses. So, fighting bosses is a much smaller part of this run. A lot of it is just getting the early game tricks, and then after that, just having clean movement through the rest of the game. So that is why a lot of people enjoy it. Also, you get Spring Ball, but you don't have to visit Shack Tool, so a lot of people like that as well. Meanwhile, Kip doesn't look like he's gonna forget Fantoon this time. Shoutouts to Sloters, of course. As we see Owl going to be heading into the Lava Dive room very shortly. As Toasty just entered Meridia, and he's going to be doing the same tricks we just saw Kip do. And Kip is going to be doing the same fight that Owl just did, although it will be a lot faster. So, how this gravity jump works from Owl is, so when you jump, you have a initial jump speed and a deceleration speed, so how fast you would lose height. So similar to how gravity works in real life. So when you jump on land or in water with the gravity suit, you would have a high jump speed, but also a high deceleration rate. Or I guess just high gravity. Whereas if you jump in water without the gravity suit, you would have a low accelerate or a low jump height. but low gravity. So what the runners will do, and by the runners I guess I just mean Owl, what Owl did was pause and then immediately jump at the end of the paused frames, which would give him the jump height since he had gravity suit on, and then turn gravity suit off so he has the slow jump deceleration. So since he has low gravity effect on him, he jumps really high, and that gives him enough height to get out of lava dives. Once again, somebody could probably explain that a lot more concise, but TLDR, you jump really high. That's it. So Kip finished off Phantoon. You can see how short that took. All he had to do was fight Phantoon. You did see he actually had to missile Phantoon before he did the plasma X-ray trick. This is because if you shoot him immediately, he will keep his iframes. You also see Toasty killing Dragon with the grapple beam for a little fun. But yeah, so it just means you have to shoot Phantoon with missiles first. So it can be a little bit tricky depending on how Phantoon decides to move around the room after you shoot him. But it looks like Kip got it no problem. And he's going to be heading to G4 with about a 30-30 time? Probably a little bit lower than that. Meanwhile, Firebat off stream is making a 30:04 pace G4. So I think a little bit ahead of Kip, actually. So we will see which one of those runners finish first. Although, I suppose we aren't actually seeing Firebat. We'll just have to hope Kip wins, since we can actually watch his victory. Of course, shoutouts to Firebat, though. He is a very good GT Classic runner. And that's pretty cool. So one nice thing about GT Classic is since you have so much ammo, you don't really need to worry about Metroid drops. Although I think Kip would have liked a few more supers than that. Not gonna be too sad though. As we see Owl heading into his Ridley fight. He pointed out in chat a while ago, but I wasn't listening because I'm pretty not smart. He's not actually doing the item collection in the 135%. He's just doing the early part. So now he's just going to be going killing Ridley and Dragon. And he can actually skip Phantoon since he's already been there before. So he does have that leg up over the other runners. Unfortunately, doesn't look like it's gonna matter since he went for a obviously suboptimal route for just normal GT Classic. I know we saw Kip get the baby skip. I don't know if Firebat did or not. So if not, Kip is probably ahead, but if so, he's probably still a little bit behind. And that would put him even further behind since he had a little bit of trouble on step skip there. But you will see another... I co-checked all the supers into the glass tank, unfortunately, and since he had low supers, he's just going to have to use a plethora of missiles there. But you're going to see a pretty neat strategy on Mother Brain here called the stand-up glitch, and I will explain more as that happens, assuming Kip doesn't mess it up, which I don't think he will. Although he is a bit low on energy. If he gets hit too much, he can't actually do the trick. We see Toasty also remembering to fight Fantune, and he got the kill. I think a slow. Or actually, I think it was just a 2-round. Unfortunately, but not too bad. So you'll notice Kip, when he entered Turian, turned off Various Suit and Screw Attack. He turned off Screw Attack to do the Ice Zeb skip, where he froze the Rinka. There's a few other methods you can do without turning off Screw Attack, but since he had the pause menu anyways, and he felt more comfortable with that, he chose to turn off the Screw Attack. But why he turned off Varia is it will make the Rainbow Beam that Mother Brain shoots do 600 damage instead of the normal 300. And so, for the stand-up glitch, you would want 100, or between 100 and 199 health. And luckily, you have exactly 700 health in GT Classic, so you will be left with exactly 100. And so, what this does is it allows you to move, but it doesn't cause Mother Brain to actually damage you. Or rather, she won't damage you if you're 100 or below, further proving how perfect the health you reach is. But so instead, she will shoot a Rainbow Beam. Again, the one that's scripted and gets... Or I guess they're all scripted, but the one that gets interrupted by the baby Metroid. But if you aren't on the ground when the baby Metroid shows up, you will actually continue standing up. And there's another point in the fight where the game will try to force you down. That is when the baby lets go of Mother Brain. So you also have to be in the air during that. So you may have seen Kip go into the crouch animation in midair at the beginning of the fight. And that's why. Additionally, once you reach full health, the baby will actually lock in place until Mother Brain hits her, or him rather, or it? I don't know. But hits the Metroid with an attack. So, if that happens in a place where Mother Brain can't reach, you soft lock the game. Additionally, there's a few places where the game can soft lock if you are shooting a shot when the game gives you Hyper Beam. So, it's a very risky fight. But if you know what you're doing, it's not too hard to avoid a soft lock. But the reason you do it in the first place is during that whole cutscene while Mother Brain is shooting Metroid, she actually takes damage. Like, it's actually the same phase as the Hyper Beam phase. So every shot you do will permanently damage Mother Brain and reduce the time you had to do for Mother Brain 3, which is why Kip had such a short Mother Brain 3. And so, update on the race between Kip and Firebat, we see Kip finishing with an official SRL time of 37:48, whereas Firebat finished with an official time of 37:31. But so GG to both runners there. Firebat won by only a few seconds, so definitely a solid run from both runners. Unfortunately, Tosi, not only did he not get the baby skip, but he faced the wrong direction and lost 33 frames. So his run's basically over. Really unfortunate. Meanwhile, Owl having a little bit of trouble with the X-ray on Dragon. Luckily, he's in no real danger in the fight, so it just meant he had a little bit of a slow run. Luckily, it's nothing too annoying. As we see him, he's going to be heading to Turian as it looks like Toasty is going to Crystal Flash instead of actually visiting the energy refill room. So, either way, it saves the same amount of time, or loses the same amount of time over getting the skip. As he messes up the set skip there, unfortunately. But yeah, they both save the same amount of time, I believe, whether or not you Crystal Flash or take the energy refill. But we are going to see him take some intentional damage here to get himself below 50 so he can Crystal Flash. And he will also have to make sure he has the optimal amount of ammo. He doesn't want to go below 10 super missiles, or else he won't actually be able to initiate the Crystal Flash and will then be doomed to die to the Rainbow Beam. Looks like Owl killed the Sephi fish and then left the room to do it again. What a guy. Truly a despicable action. But either way, he's going to be heading to Turian to kill the rest of the animals on Zebus. Potentially. As Toasty is going to be doing his Mother Brain fight now that he is back to full health. We'll see if he decides to do the stand-up glitch or not. He turned off Varia, so I assume he is. Turned on the Spazer for the memes. Not sure what he... Oh, okay. Oh, he's gonna do a murder beam. So, for those of you who've been around since 2004, these are actually the strats you would see the very earliest runners do when they were optimizing for in-game time instead of real time. Since, of course, shoutouts to whoever just followed Toasty. Allophone half. He might be in the chat. But anyways, it's you can see all the lag it's causing. So it's about a minute slower real time. But I don't know how much faster game time. But it is an amount that's greater than 0. So Toasty, being a bit of a memer as always, deciding to go for game time percent. We'll see what that ends up being. Looks like Kip's doing another run. I don't know if he's doing GT Classic or otherwise. Canadian Owl getting a wraparound shot on the door there. A little bit goofy. But how that works is there's an identical clone of the room to the right, and I believe slightly up of every room. So he shot the door that was out of bounds. You can do that in most rooms, I believe. But don't quote me on that. Anyways, we see him starting off his turn. He might actually catch up to Toasty with all this lag he's getting. So, we'll keep an eye on that one. But once again, like Kip, he would have liked to get a few more supers than he actually did, but since he has so many missiles, it doesn't actually matter. Kip with a pretty decent series time there, 44.99. Not sure where he's going with this run, but we will see. Unfortunately, Owl did not quite get the baby skip there. Looked like he was on the last jump and got grabbed. Unfortunately, didn't go for the meme percent where he completes the game with baby slowdown. Since he is actually one of the few runners that has done a series escape with the baby slowdown. Toasty attempting Blue Bomber here. But another shoutouts to Sloters. He's gonna lose all his time and lose the race to Owl here. So GG to Owl, easy second place or third place. He's actually gonna take the safety save here. That's a little bit interesting. Or Owl is. Not Toasty, obviously. He's a little bit past safety saving. But looks like he's gonna need one if he keeps messing up this Blue Bomber here. Anyways, I'm not sure why Owl saved. Even if he's worried about the Mother Brain fight, the worst that could happen with all the reserve you have in GT Classic is you just avoid doing stand-up glitch. Maybe he just wants to practice that there, since he is practicing 135%. Toasty finally gives up on the Blue Bomber. Just gonna do a normal spark there. Looks like Owl is also going for the murder beam here. As Toasty does the left side Behemoth Spark to get out of the climb. And now you really see how much lag this can cause, now that we see Owl doing it at the beginning of the fight. And Toasty, he's going down to the animals. He goes back up. Always a champ. As he is going to finish with an official SRL time of never because he forgot to dot done. Now he's just memeing. Just gonna see how low he can get the timer here. Or maybe he's just gonna die. One of the two. Five, four, three, two, one. Toasty chickens out at 183 on the timer. finishing with an official time of 48 minutes and 35 seconds. GG to Toasty. Now, all we've got left is Canadian Owl doing the murder beam glitch, and Mother Brain being a little bit slower than normal, and Kip doing an entirely different run altogether. But yeah, you can see why the runners have stopped using murder beam, since it's just so slow in real time. The Canadian, he don't care about real time. He only cares about one thing, and that's the memes. And the memes would always do murder beam. So, judging by Kip's health, I think he's doing either a new route any percent or a low percent. He could be doing GT Classic if he wasn't happy with his last performance. We will see here whether or not he picks up these items. And he picked up the missile, so he's actually going to be doing any percent here, since you would not want to pick up that missile in low percent. So, going to be seeing the beginning of a any percent new route run from Kip. Of course, he is a pretty good runner. I believe he has a low 44? Let me check. Okay, it's a mid 44. 44.40 to be exact. But since he's in a GT Classic race, that's pretty slow. He needs to step his game up. Anyways, Canadian is finally free from all the lag he got from the Mother Brain. And he is going to be finally finishing off his run. We don't actually have an official timer yet, since Toasty decided he just had to stop the only working timer in the race. Really unfortunate, but either way, Canadian's going to be finishing shortly. We will see what the official time is then. As he also attempts the left side Behemoth Spark, but only gets the left side bonk his head spark. And he's gonna have to just do a standard left side spark. As we'll see if he makes the right choice here and kills the animals like he killed the Zephy fish. But instead he elects to viciously murder an innocent animal and then also viciously murder the others. So we see Owl is not a hypocrite. Maybe he is. Whatever he is, he's definitely a pretty dank memer. As he is finally gonna make the decision to leave the animals, brutally murder them with the rest of the planet, just like he brutally murdered the Zephy fish. And we'll see if he also tries to get the lowest time he can on the timer. So Toasty got a 1.83 seconds, so that's Canadian Owl's time to beat. So if he does elect to save the animals, he's got plenty of time to kill. So we see Kip entering Fantoon. Hopefully this is a mid. No, it's a slow. Luckily, even though Kip messed up the strat, unfortunately missed the missile, he got a fast reappear pattern, so it's not too much worse than a standard slow. Of course, a slow pattern is not what you would want to see in any run, never mind an any percent run. I think Toasty was trying to do escape there, but doesn't look like he ever got it. Wait, is he gonna do it? Has he been 3D underwater Parcheesi memeing us the whole time? And there it is. The animals are saved. In the end, Owl plays with our heartstrings for the entire run and finally decides to, even though he brutally murdered the fish, is going to at least spare the animals. We'll see how low he can get the timer. I didn't see because his stream lagged. But I saw 173, so he definitely beat Toasty, and that's all that matters. GG to Canadian Owl, finishing in 4th place with an official SRL time of 55 minutes and 21 seconds. I'm hearing in chat that it was 0.86, so not quite beating Toasty by a second, but still being the winner.